to that later. That said, guys, the final match of the 8-man world title tournament was the next match. Phoenix versus Penta went, and then we got to see Paige versus Colt Cabana. SPD, what did you think about this one? Because I'm gonna pump my brakes and let you guys talk about it, just to see to feel the room out a little bit. Because this is one of the moments where I kind of need a little bit of feedback on it, and maybe make me check my opinion.
I got mixed. It was overall a good match. It was an exciting match to watch. I was, believe it or not, I'm going to say it, Cabana impressed me. It was probably one of the better matches I've ever seen him wrestle, and it made me believe like he could upset him.
Wow.
And honestly, deep down in my heart, obviously that wasn't going to happen. Paige is too much of a draw and too good of a wrestler, but it was the second closest match of the night of the tournament, in terms of like back and forth.
Yeah.
But Cabana impressed me, and then overall was a great wrestling match. But a couple things I got, like with the Dark Order real quick, where's Brody? Not to go on a tangent, like after he gets beat, I guess like, is he taking his tail between his legs and going to hide? Like, what is that? Where's his rebuttal? Is he going to show up next week? But what are they doing with the Dark Order in that essence? And like, they're coming out and like helping him out. After the match.
Buddy, time out, man. I want to get your elite or delete on this, but when you give a hot take like that on the Dark Order, I have to segue it to Zepp real quick. And Zepp, as the resident Dark Order nerd here, can you give us a little insight on what do you think about Brody Lee? You've always been a Brody Lee fan. He's been really you've been the guy who's touted us his prowess and his growth since joining in AEW. I think that you've seen it. He's leaning into the character more. But what do you say in response to that? Like, what's going on with his character? Do you think that they're doing the right thing by keeping him off TV a little bit, and letting us miss him? Or do you want to see Brody immediately respond to a loss like that? What's your take?
Yeah, from a fan's perspective, I think I definitely want to see someone in his position hate losing to the point where he just goes on a rampage, back to like maybe even casting blame inside of his own group, all kinds of things, right? I think there's stuff to be done there, but the message that you lose, your team's there, and you're nursing anything, right, as like the big lead dog of anything, I don't know that sends like necessarily like a badass vibe to your character at all. It sends more of like okay, I lose sometimes, and I don't want to think of him like that, right? He's had a couple big losses, a big win, don't get me wrong, the win over Cody was big, but a couple big losses there too, where then what happens after it, it's almost like it does take a second to build him back up. I don't want to think of him as beatable as that, where he can lose and then we don't see him for a bit. I can handle him losing and then kicking ass for a while as like a response, so I miss him.
Yeah, and I think that they're doing the same thing with. I mean, Lance Archer wasn't on the show tonight either, and obviously it was a packed show. I get that, right? It was jam packed, but after such a huge loss, and after Phoenix hitting him in the back with a chair, I'm surprised that we didn't see any Archer during that match tonight.
Yeah, and he hinted a lot on social media too, like he's coming for them, and so
he did.
Granted, it was packed card, and like you already have 30 stars, you said, Nate?
Yeah, I was counting and I stopped at 30. How many different stars either had a talking point or were on camera? Like, and I'm not talking like over the guardrails, but I'm talking like in a segment of some kind. It was over 30 in 2 hours. Wow. So that's something to say about like,
show. Wow.
Dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they all delivered, really, for the most part. SPD, getting back to you, man, I just want you to really quickly tie it up in a bow. What do you think? Was this an elite or delete for you? You obviously were impressed by Colt Cabana. But
I thought I'd never say that.
Yeah, but Hangman came out on top, brother. So what are you thinking?
Honestly, just to be a little tough critic, I got to give it a delete because it kind of got overshadowed in all the other great things that were happening. It was still entertaining, but just to kind of give it a little tough critic, I had a little bit higher expectations from Hangman Adam Page, and he could have delivered a little bit more. And it's a tough act to follow. I mean, how are you going to follow that? Even if there is promos in between, It's a tough one to follow, and so just for that reason, it's a delete in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow up. Delete for me on this one. I'll be a little spoiler. My only delete of the night. Cabana, although he impressed me also, it's just one of those things. My mind doesn't want to be impressed by him, which is I don't know. It's like it's so hard to invest in him at all. He could do a moonsault off of like the Statue of Liberty, and I'd be like, whatever. It's not fair, but
I know.
No, you know what, Nate? That's a fair criticism to me because
he's not likable.
Well, I don't know. See, to me, I think he's too likable, and this is something that I was writing up in my review too. Is and guys, make sure you check that out, the write up. That's one of the things that I mentioned is just like, all right, he's got a podcast, and it almost feels like he's just this good guy. He's just like this good dude who just like, hey man, like, and he just doesn't feel like he takes it. I can't believe or buy into him wanting to kick someone's ass, if that makes sense. Like, I just don't see him as somebody who's like fired up or like really wants to win. I just don't see it. I think that he integrates too much like convoluted comedy into his matches. And to me, he always has been a weird fit in the Dark Order. I have to give him credit that the gear tonight, that was something that I really was impressed. I like that he kind of leaned into that, and maybe he's had that before. I just never noticed it. But in this showcase with Adam Page, I thought that his look was really good. I like that he went into the Dark Order color scheme and all that, which was great. But I just feel like it didn't really do Hangman Page any favors. See, that's the guy I picture, right? That's the guy I picture when he goes into a match. And I'm sorry, like, I just don't see him as somebody who's fired up and wants to win, who will do whatever it takes to beat someone up. I just don't see it. I see a smiley, goofy guy. And so I'm glad that he lost. And I'm glad that the right guy won. Obviously, Hangman advancing in the tournament, going against Wardlow next round.
Ooh, that's going to be great.
Oh my gosh, dude. I don't like, again, you got Kenny Omega. Oh, never mind. We'll talk about it later. Okay. We'll talk about it later.
Guys, I just realized something horrible.
Yeah.
I think Colt Cabana is really unique.
Okay. We'll get more. Go ahead. I'm going to give you before I give this one a delete too and make it a clean sweep. Go ahead and tell me, why is he so unique, man? Like, what do you have to say about that?
He's confused us all. He's the only one on the roster that we have like confusion around. I feel like we're like, we don't know what to feel about him. And that's gotta, like, this is a regular thing.
Yeah.
Out there, I'm like, whoa,
okay.
Nice guy? Is he
boom, boom.
Yeah. Like, we don't know what to do with him. And like, there's no one else that we can say that we're like, I don't know. There's something about him that I think maybe we're underselling, and he's doing right, and we just aren't getting it yet.
Colt Cabana, the paradox. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. He got us hooked into his program, and we just don't know it.
I think that there's going to be some stoners out there smoking a fat one tonight thinking about, man, maybe Colt Cabana is a way deeper character than I gave him credit for. In reality, Nate, I think you might be reading a little bit too much into this one, buddy. I think he just might not be that good at playing one thing or the other. I think, truthfully, Colt Cabana, this is what I'm going to say, right? This is a delete for me. That said, right, Colt Cabana is a great hand, and this is I know that this dates back to Hangman or Cody versus Shawn Spears. No one wants to be called a good hand, but Colt Cabana serves his purpose, right? He's never going to be the world champion of your organization, hopefully, but he can put on a good match where he can hit his offense. He can make sure that things flow pretty well in a match, and then he could ultimately put over the guy who you want to make look good, right? And that, there is a place for that. I just think that all of us are a little down on this match in particular because of the placement on the card. It just after that Lucha Bros battle, it's very hard. I think anybody would have been in a bad spot.